So these are practical policies in this manifesto. They are practical, they are popular on the doorsteps. These are the kinds of policies that we believe Britain needs. They need them urgently. This election is about us getting an unprecedented opportunity to be pushing these policies forward where it matters at Westminster. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm now going to take questions. First question I'll take from Gary Donoghue at BBC.
Gary Donoghue, BBC News. You say you'll cut the deficit at the same rate as Labour. You won't cut public spending. In fact, you'll spend tens of billions of pounds more in public spending over the next few years. Your savings from scrapping Trident won't happen for years and years and years yet. Isn't this Fantasyland economics?
No, it's not Fantasyland economics. It's been reviewed by independent economists. It is a costed manifesto. There are pages that will explain how it adds up. The difference with us is essentially that we are putting forward a different view based on higher taxation, things like lifting that upper limit on national insurance contributions, the higher level for incomes over 100,000, closing the tax havens. That does add up. It's a question, ultimately, about political choice and political will. The other three parties are all clustered around the idea that we need to have savage cuts to public services. We think that is bad for the economy, bad for society, and bad economics. It risks the double-dip recession. It also means that you're paying money to put people on benefit, as well as all of the social ills, rather than having the taxation of those people running into the economy, saving your money on those benefits. We believe, and there are others out there like David Blanchflower and other economists, who believe that this is a different way forward that ought to have a much stronger hearing.
Thank you. Other questions? Yes.
Hi, Caroline. Rachel Brown from the ABC, Australian Broadcasting Corporation. I was just wondering, in the past, because of your voting system, a vote for the Greens is sometimes seen as a wasted vote. Are you hoping that with disillusionment with the major parties now, and perhaps in the wake of the MP that's been a scam, that more people might think that their vote might not be wasted?
Well, I do think that's the case. People are definitely looking for an alternative. There is a sense of a plague on all their houses on the other parties. And I think that when it comes to those constituencies like Brighton, like Norwich South, like Lewisham, Deptford, where we are on the cusp of being able to get in, that means that people can safely vote Green, knowing that that vote will translate into the real possibility of getting people elected into Westminster. I mean, we would argue, even in those constituencies where we're not in that position, a Green vote still sends an incredibly powerful message to the other parties around people's concerns about environment, social justice. But yes, certainly this time around, even under this hugely undemocratic electoral system, which has been expressly designed to keep out smaller parties, even with those very difficult constraints, we now believe we are on the edge of breakthrough, and that we are really being able to capitalise, if you like, on the sense of people wanting an alternative and now seeing that that alternative is electable.
Other questions? Michael White?
Mike White from The Guardian. Can I clarify, for page 17, I think it is, you're proposing to raise taxes by 76 billion, have I got that figure right? Government whacked them up about 20. There it is on the right-hand page. Second, Labour government planned public expenditure, Labour government anticipated tax receipts.
Yeah,
No, I'm wrong.
Can I?
Glad you said that.
Then my question is, this is historic admission on my part, my question is, how much do you propose to raise taxes? Because on the left-hand page, although Caroline has said we put up taxes on people who can afford it, quite a lot of them are on people who will tell you they won't be able to afford it, will they? Like the fuel escalator at whatever I just said, and this is due to raise 10 billion, which is a lot of money, and the tax on booze and fags will go down to...
Can I just say one thing on that?
So what is how much tax do you anticipate? Well, this is your chief mechanism for avoiding the double dip, by causing it by other means, is really where I'm heading.
In a moment, I'm going to call on our expert to give you some views on that. But let me just say one thing first of all, which is that according to our calculations, 87% of people are going to be better off under our proposals, our tax and income proposals, than they would be under the status quo. So yes, we are being upfront about saying that we believe that in a country that is more unequal than so many in Europe, it is time that those on the wealthier incomes pay more. But the vast majority of people are going to be better off under this scheme. But maybe I could call on...
Yeah, Brian Heatley is our senior policy advisor who put together the tax and investment plans in the manifesto, and he'll talk you through page 17, that table. Brian.
Did you get Brian to do it because he's the one with the pinstripe suit?
You'll find our net additional taxation in line 8 on that table. And you'll see that it is 73 billion in 2010.
Oh, I wasn't wrong.
No, it was there.
Yeah, okay, I read the wrong line.
And going up...
Withdraw that apology then.
Going up to 112 billion in 2013. Now, a lot of that increase is gradually increasing environmental taxes. We have we are quite honest about the fact we want to use environmental taxation to change people's behaviour. An example is the fuel duty escalator. Yes, 4 years in, it will be raising around 10 billion. First year, it'll raise about 2 billion. I worked out the consequences of that for a normal family car doing 10,000 miles a year. It's maybe £250 a year. But the savings on tax for someone who typically owns that car will be considerably greater.
Yeah, how? In what ways?
Well,
what
because
taxes do we mean?
We're talking about our proposals for the 10% tax, bringing back the 10% band up to 13,000, and reducing the national insurance. Increasing the national insurance lower limit. And those will help less well-off people.
Thank you. Thanks so much for that, Brian. Further questions? Yes. Caroline. Right, Adrian.
Well, our experience in the Greens are having a real impact is that we can maximise our influence by working with other parties on a case-by-case basis. So we've got a great chance of winning Green seats at this election. And so what we'll be pushing for is for the other parties to adopt policies that are in our manifesto. I mean, that's what we're seeing in other places where Greens are elected, is Green policies being adopted because we use that influence and we work with the other parties constructively. So that's exactly what we would do in Westminster. And as a result, hopefully we'll see free insulation schemes around the country. Hopefully we'll see improvements to public transport. Hopefully we'll see improvements to public services. So we will use our influence in a constructive way.
As Adrian says, we'll be voting on an issue-by-issue basis in the Commons, but we do give one guarantee: we will not be using our votes to prop up a Conservative government and put Cameron into number 10. When it comes to the issues, we'll vote on an issue-by-issue basis, but we give that guarantee that we will not be propping up a Conservative government. Any further questions?
I mean, but if they won the election but without a majority, they were the largest party. The other ones you're specifically ruling...
On a confidence vote, we would not be propping up a Conservative government.
But on day-to-day stuff, you might...
On day-to-day stuff, if they agree with us, we might, as we've done in local government, in the Scottish Parliament, in the London Assembly, and so on. So on the issues, it's day-to-day, but on a confidence vote, we will not be propping up a Conservative government.
Dave's Green... You go first.
It would depend very much on the issues, on the programme that they put forward.
How do you rate their relative Green credentials?
Caroline.
I don't think there's a huge amount to choose between them. I mean, they're talking the Green talk when they remember. I mean, it did go a little quiet over the last few months. They've polished up their Green rhetoric for their manifestos. But, sitting opposite them in the European Parliament, seeing how, for example, the Conservatives vote on a day-to-day basis, they are not in the forefront of more progressive environmental policies. They are the ones who are delaying it, who are diluting it, who are basically, diminishing the ambition of environmental policies. So certainly from David Cameron, although he speaks a good talk on it, the actual evidence of the way they vote is something very different. And when it comes to Labour, we've still got Labour that thinks that, that more nuclear is the answer, that they are not moving anywhere fast enough towards cutting emissions. The climate bill was a useful step forward. We certainly welcome that, but it doesn't have the right targets and it certainly doesn't have the right policies to deliver them.